Coming out to the end of the Maimer, okay. We're up to where Isdalit now. No, we started Isdalit. So again, continuing the Yichud Havayin Elikim. After having addressed it, the whole Avodah, the main Avodah, even though there's the Chiddush in both the Oyer and the Keli, the Chiddush in Havayin and the Chiddush in Shem Elikim, but the Iker Avodah in terms of the mandate is not the Neshama itself, it's not the Oyer, but the Keli. And in the Tikkun Gufa Keli, in the end of Oiz Gimel, he talked about the Gimel Avis of B'chol Levavcha, B'chol Nafshcha, B'chol Ma'itcha. And the ultimate avodah that's demanded of a year is this more than Usa Deliba, more than Ava B'tanogim. The love of delights and the Siddur Nefesh, it's B'chol Nafshcha. But the true avodah is a tainug which is not murgish, that he's not even with the sense that he has any experience that this was wonderful, that this was Siddur Nefesh, that this was, and there's no it of whatever it is. It's the Rotzen the Alien Mamach, Nichel Ba'etzem. And he's saying that this is, the Rebbe is saying it, that this is the avodah of the Guf and Nefesh HaBahamis. Did you believe this? That the good Nefesh HaBahamis has to, what does that mean? The person's consciousness, Nefesh Alikis. The emes is that Nefesh Alikis is also this is a huge chiddush. The Nefesh Alikis at its highest levels is Yesh Misha Oyev. It comes down the matter into the Guf and Nefesh HaBahamis, which is about breaking it and changing it and opening up to something that's not our immediate sensual world to the degree that is totally bottled. Through this, Nefesh Alikis has its ultimate aliyah. That's at the end. Even the Oyer. We weren't sure about is the Atem Nitzovim, which he says, which is Damshochem L'maylo L'mat of the Etzem in the Koiches Pnimiyim, is that it sounds like from the Maimer that's the end of the Avodah. As a result, which could be Posh at the end of the year, as a result of the whole Avodah, Erev Rosh Hashanah. I mean, now Erev Rosh Hashanah is the culmination of the Avodah of the previous year, as it were. Now comes a new Avodah. So that culmination is Atem Nitzovim Damshochem of the Etzem HaNefesh. I don't know if that's the pshat or not, or Atem Nitzovim could be, and Mistam, it's both things are true. It's achona. It's achona for the year to come, which starts with Hamshach of the Etzem HaNefesh, and then starts the avodah, the dogged avodah of the Bir and Tikkun Guf Nefesh HaBahamis. It's both in Yonim. As is known, this Arusa de Leila before avodah, this Arusa de Leila after avodah. Perhaps that is part of the equation here. A kol panim. I don't know. The Bible doesn't say at the end, and maybe the Maimorim that he points to in the course of this does. Lawyer there. What we do know is what we're learning here, and that we have to apply. So, he stopped v'yuvim b'proti is the union of avodah. That avodah says a very important point in Neis Dalet. What's the nekudah of Neis Dalet? Avodah can't start when you're in Mitzrayim, when a person is in a state of physical sleep. Or another metaphor is a child, an uber in the womb. The seichel there is between its knees. Uber roishe bein birkov, the Gemara says in the. And sleep is a state where the stalkers of the koiches pnimim, they cannot be the v'yidaita hayoim, if a person is in a sleep state. And moon is wonderful and it's moededik, but it's not shaykh to have real change. Person can't change his midas, he says, can't change himself, can't have real avodah, transformative avodah without being awake. And being awake meaning engaging the seichel in a very rigorous way, deep understanding and straining the intellect, and then moving the heart, v'chulu v'chulu. There was an interesting expression at the end of this Aisya with Emunah was wonderful. Without it, they would have, even with the Emunah, they were on the brink of sinking to oblivion. right? That's why Kiborachom had to run away, he had to flee Mitzrayim, and he added in the Yiddish, and if not, wer weiß was es wohl gewesen. We know what would have been, again, they didn't want to say it, to have sunk into the Shar Nun of Tumah, of which there's no return. So it's only going out of Mitzrayim when a person is in a wakeful state, a spiritual wakeful state. And you also learned before that, indulging in grubber things dulls the mind. So that's when they avoided in a wakeful state, not a gola state, going out of Mitzrayim. It's not in Mitzrayim. They were told, when you will leave, then you will know. So the avodah begins then. Because during sleep, there's only kista the chayusa, a small element. Kista means a trace, but also means a small container of life force that's left in the guf while a person sleeps, and the person has to be awake. Now, I say, so the beginning of the avodah v'tzias Mitzrayim was takas sfiras ha'omer. What's sfiras ha'omer? Sfiras ha'omer is the tikkun we're working on, the guf. Omer is a barley offering. Nevisha Bahamis, our Poshet Al Midas become a little more refined. And that's why Malchos is Shemban, right? Shemban is Begimatria 52, if you spell Yud Kei Vav Kei, with the Miloi, the filling letter being a Hey, which is corresponding to the final Hey of Shem Havaya, that's Malchos. And Ban, of course, is Begimatria what? Behemoth. But that's the whole point. Malchus is Hashem's concealment that gives rise to the behemoth, and that has to be addressed. And here was a whole arichas. You cannot compare to the way Malchus creates or to the way creation would come directly from Zah. Be'emes, the creative powers are Zah. Chesed is Sunday, and the Monday is Gevurah. It was this B'Sheish Yomim. He brings in the Maimon. They wish to create the world b'sheishes with the 6 days, 6 gilui, and the 6 midas. But they were completely concealed in Malchus. And the difference would be if it wouldn't be concealed in Malchus. And there is a level of Isavos and that level of Bepnimius. Bepnimius, it is true. There is what I'm going to say, this Kiotziv, it's a fact, Kiotziv of an Ivro. He commanded and creation came into being. That's looking, this is concurrent levels. That is looking at creation from the perspective of Zah itself. What's the diak of who goes on Zah, he, the male. Tziva v'nivro commanded, it's b'derech ha'mela. Now in b'derech ha'mela itself, there's 2 levels. There's the b'derech ha'mela of Seviv Kalalmin, which that b'derech ha'mela, that I want and it happens, it's completely disconnected from that which happens. Seviv is not mitzamtzem itself. Zah creates even directly from Zah. From Chesed comes Sunday, comes Oil. From Monday Gevurah comes the division between the upper waters and lower waters. It creates something of its own nature, a reflection of its own being, but it's not an investure like Malchus, not Bepnimius. Like we gave the 3 examples of this, right? Of the derech, Sabas of derech hamela of Zah, his havos of derech, of Seivit, his havos of derech hamela from Zah, and then Malchus, which is bislapshus. We gave 3 examples. One example is just a chosed in this environment. The people don't even know his name necessarily, and his just presence radiates inspiration and change. That's like Seviv. There's no engagement at all. There's no slapshus at all. There's no conversation at all. It's one level of hashpah that a chassid has to have, just his etzem being, not an intimate. And then there's just b'derech Zah. The Zah is b'derech like a teacher or a person, not a person. A person is learning aloud. He's learning. He's learning to himself. Someone else is listening and gaining. There's no islapshus there either. But he's expressing an Indian that the recipient can receive following this. And the 3rd example is like the teacher in the classroom that's working with the kids, with the students in their language, islapshus. and brings down the seichel to their world and Mashalim and so on and so forth. So that's b'derech hislapshus. The whole point being that creation, that tikkun amidus, the behemoth within ourselves. Now let's rephrase it. We are the behemoth and the goof. So this we're talking about the level of keli, a creation b'derech hislapshus. Again, in the Maimon, he gave an example of what? Of b'derech hamele, not hislapsh, not malchus. That is what seichel amidus. It's when the seichel is fully developed, a mid is going to be naturally produced. The seichel doesn't have to be compromised to make the mid. But on the other hand, the seichel is still within the mid. Like Zoh is present in the 6 days of creation, but still b'derech hamele. But with the way of Malchus, L'Peil, it's Islapshus, Keichel Peil Benifel, Helen V'Ester, the Keichel is invested and concealed in the Nivra. So much so, the Nivra feels he's alive, but doesn't feel it's a likus. But he feels he's alive, that's the Islapshus. The Islapshus part is he feels he's alive, but doesn't feel it's a likus. He knows it. Shema is Mizbein, Shema Yisrael V'Alakin V'Yachod. Elikinu means El Chayis. So he feels he has Chayis, and he declares it comes from Elikus, but he's not Margish that comes from Elikus. That's because of the Hel and Behest. Now the next ois, was that clear? Yeah. Then he says, I'm going to thing in the next ois. Not just talking about Malchus as Iragla, Yudis Moves as Malchus descends into Biyah. For sure, there's this element of Islapshus and investure and concealment, etc. And it's Hashem's most intimate involvement in creation. Kavayocho, the Eibush is affected. The Eibush is affected mitzad ha'atzmos because of the Bechira. Bechiras ha'atzmos. And Malchus is rooted in Atzmos. But at any rate, he's saying that it's not only in that final incarnate of Malchus, but all the levels of Malchus, even in Malchus the Ein Sof. There too, there's this investure. It's also through a relative tzimtzum and siluk. But however, all of these levels of Malchus, tracing it back, the Maila, Malchus as it is in Atzilus and Malchus high in Atzilus, that's still not the Kavanah, because there's still some level of Gilui. There's a Kav, and it's not a Kav Kotzer, and it's radical, and it's finite, complete, and bleakful, but still at the end of the day, it's Oir. End of the day, it's Oir, even though it's called Helen. He brought the Lashon of the Zoya, that Kisri Law, the supernal Kesser, Afel Gav, the Oir, Kadman, it's a primal Oir, it's Achvoir, Mitzuchzuch, and it's pure, and the Mitzuchzuch means like it's sparkling, yeah. Ulkamhu, it's dark or black, Kodam Ilas, Illa is the cause of all causes. So that's the, like, okay, so great, so we have the Kavon. No, but it's just relative. It's Ukam, dark compared to Ilus. But still, it's Kadam and Tzach Mitzuchzuch, there's Gilui. There's an idea that there's an Eibishter, there's a knowledge that there's a God in a very high, profound way. The highest levels of the Kav, even in Kesed. So all of the levels of Biyah, of Malchus, and all of its levels, Lamailo, there's still Gilui. It's just relative to the levels above it. But Eibishter wants what? Iragla Yudis Movis Managolos of Dafke and the Gufnevish Bahamis as we are in our matzav a complete hell and Vehester. There has to be the tikkun. That's the avodah of Yich Avai Likim Kol Echad, where the main avodah is that in the Guf the Likim should know that there is an Eibishter and surrender to the levels of avodah and bittul described before. Further explain. Okay, another few minutes. I'm not going to finish the Maimon. We'll finish it on Monday. And Monday we'll start the new Maimon Rosh Hashanah. It's a beautiful Divrei Maschot. What is it? From Psukim before Tkiyas. Tuv Tama Das Lam Deini, beautiful. Keep it mitzvah secha manti. Okay, so continuing. So the two Eifanim in Helem, right? The two levels of Malchus. As Malchus is if B'chalal in Ishtalshalus, and then Malchus as it is in Biyah. So the first way is that the upper level dominates. The second way is that the lower level dominates. Like, for example, Seichel is Melubash Midas, but Seichel rules, or ought to. Otherwise, the Midah is not a Midah, not a proper Midah. So you need the Seichel that rules the heart. Then you have Machshov and Koach HaMaaseh in action or in drawing. So it's Nislabish, the talent, the person's Seichel is Nislabish in his hand, and he's writing the words, typing the message, whatever it is, and it's what Bislapshus Behelim. But what dominates is the Seichel, the higher Koach. The Meluvish is Moishe on the Malbish. However, then there's a second way is where that which is enclosed in completely dominates, and the Moshel is Gilgulim, Nachman Litzlan, which is when the neshama is trapped in the behemoth or some other thing, which is tremendous sound for the neshama. So likewise, this is the two levels of Malchus, the first higher level, not the way it is in Biyah. So even though it's mislabish in the Nivra, but there's some revelation. It's a kav, and it dominates at the end of the day. It dominates the Makabel. There's an Eibishter, the Kus is revealed. Even it's compromised, but revealed. But the second way is that Shchinte B'Galusa, that Malchus is Nislabish in Biyah. And he says that even though somebody says this in the mind, even though it's man Hagol is Eibishter, what Eibishter's Rotzens B'Toikev, and he wants Ach Toiv Yisrael. Not just Baruch, only good for Yidden, not just Baruch, but Begashmius. However, because it has to be filtered through the Ayin Sorim, that's all part of Malchus as it descends to this world. Each Medina has its Tzar and Moishe. It could be, otherwise, Chas v'Shalom, it's not so good for Yidden. Chas v'Shalom, Shchinte B'Galusa. And likewise, there's two ways that translating this now, the Guf and the Nefesh Abamis. There's two ways. The higher way is, this is like the Beinini, or certainly the Tzaddik, that the Nefesh Alikis, okay, he's invested in the body, but who's in control? Who's in the driver's seat? The Nefesh Alikis. But then there's a lower level that in the driver's seat is not the Nefesh Alikis, the driver's seat is the Nefesh Abahamis, and it's a constant struggle. That would be the Beinini, but he wins the struggle. But he adds, sometimes he slips up, he loses the battle, and it could be even worse than that. It's not like sometimes he loses the battle. Overall, Nefesh Abahamis dominates his life. And that's the avodah. Therein lies the avodah to bring a likus to connect to the Eibishter in our state of the Nefesh Abahamis and Guf dominating our lives, as explained before. That's the mandate. Kabbalah's oil, b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshach. Okay, to be continued. Be'ezras Hashem, Monday, 6 o'clock, right before Slichus.